Overwhelmed.
And for knotty problems, Gabriel is an adventurer.
You know what he did with those days?
We're on.
So Chris, tell me a little bit about yourself and your family and who you are and what you do with yourself.
Okay. My name is Quay. I'm 42 years old, and I didn't know that I had Usher syndrome until later in life when I was a disability examiner, but my hearing impairment showed up when I was 4. I had a high fever for 2 or 3 days in a row, and at that time, the doctor told my mom it was because of nerve damage because of the fever. We had no idea it was Usher syndrome. I have one blood brother. My father died at age 40 from heart disease. My mother remarried, so I have a year older stepbrother and a stepfather. And I didn't know about my RP until I went to college, my 3rd year in college. And the way I discovered that I had something wrong was that I was going to a night class at UT to raise my GPA so that I could get into UT from Concordia. And I went to a night class at 6 or 6:30, something like that, and during that time it was still light. When I came out of class for the first time, it was dark, and I had to walk up the steps south of the tower. And the first time I did that, I fell on the steps because I didn't see the steps at night. So even then, I thought it must just be a vitamin deficiency or something like that. So I just made an appointment to go in and have my eyes checked, not thinking anything of it. And I went into an optometrist, not an ophthalmologist at first, and he said, tell my mom there was something wrong. He suspected something, and he rattled off this long word, and I just still didn't pay any attention to it, and they sent me to the ophthalmological department down at the University of Houston, and they did all these battery of tests, and I was there for a whole day, and they had graduate students come in and look at me, and by the time that happened, I knew there was something wrong, because when you call in graduate students to come look at something you'll probably never see in your life, there was something wrong. So that was when I was 21. So it's a matter of 17 years later, my RP shows up. And at the time, I didn't know it at the time, but I was legally blind back then. But because I didn't have the education of being a disability examiner, I didn't realize that's what it was. They might have told me that, but I didn't know. But I didn't realize I had Usher until 1987, 88, something like that, when I had a claimant of my own as a disability examiner who had everything I had. And the doctor's diagnosis was Usher syndrome. And not until then did I start looking up, research and stuff like that, and figured out that's what I had. So that's how I came about finding out that I had Usher's.
How did you feel about finding out that way?
Well, it wasn't. Well, I wouldn't say it was a shock. It was disappointing because I don't think I reacted to it as strongly as my mother did because I lived with it already for all that time. I had done all my adjustments, and whatever you have to do to get along and stuff. And so it just didn't bother me. I didn't think I was anybody special or anything like that. But when I got involved, what really hit me when I had trouble at my last job, working for the state as a disability examiner, and there were some things that were coming up that I couldn't do like I used to do, and I didn't realize it until I went back to have more testing done, and the eye disease had progressed, and that was when it hit me.
Right.
You know, that I have fought depression and everything since then.
Sure.
You know, it's a natural thing because of that, I think. But it was pretty devastating because I had just, it took me 7 years to learn the job because of my handicap, unbeknownst to me at the time. But I was lucky to have a really empathetic supervisor who helped me and got me some things that I needed and stuff, but it was pretty devastating, you know, and I tried to keep up a good front anyway, because I wanted to keep the job. I'd learned to love it, and I didn't want to quit. You know, I thought, everybody else is going to quit, but I want to stay here. You know, I want to show everybody I can do it. But anyway.
Well, you mentioned your mom and that it was really hard for your mom. Could you talk about that a little bit and when she actually knew and how much she shared with you, that sort of thing?
Mom, I didn't realize how much it had affected her until I asked her to go to an RP symposium with me. 95, I think it was, a couple of years ago. And I had to really, really push her to go with me. It was like, I don't want to have anything to do with it. She didn't want to be around a lot of other people who were like me, even though she had raised me and all this kind of stuff. But what I found out, and that was devastating in itself, was that my mom was, she was so overwhelmed with guilt. It's like, you know, you figure two people out of a trillion get together and they have a child, and it comes out to be RP. It's just, you know, 1 in a million. So yeah, she was overcome with guilt, and I had already begun to accept it a little bit, but Mom was back at square one, and she had, you know, she still had problems with it. I don't tell her when I go do Tupperware parties or candle